Okay, so these are the cultures.
Earthquake!
Okay.
Okay, so these.
Welcome in the strange world of
Welcome to
Kombucha.
the food forest. We just gotta move the bananas out of the way, and we found the babies that are growing here. And basically, this cloth protects it from these flies from coming in and making home, but it allows the kombucha to breathe. See? And
It's alive!
it's absolutely alive, and it brings us life. So we can look inside and see the new culture that's grown.
Looks like skin.
It's a tissue.
What are you?
It's a multicellular, multi-organismal.
Multi-orgasmic.
He's actually trying to use this video for something.
Who said that?
I think that this is going into
It
what
wasn't
we're
me.
calling a non-hippie professional video.
Okay, let's pursue.
So let's bring this out. Let's see how this one's doing actually. And oh wow, these cultures have lived a long time. Yeah, this one's infected with mold. So we can see that on the top here there's these little white spots, which means this culture is infected with mold, which means I'm pretty much going to have to get rid of this whole one.
Yeah.
Which is not a good news.
But
Have a look
actually
at what it
it
looks like.
smells okay. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna leave it.
Mal. Bueno, mal. Educational.
It's education.
Yeah, good pedagogy.
Okay.
Education.
Okay, wow.
So let's bring this out here. Into
I'm
the
so
light.
excited.
Typically we want to keep it in the dark because they're photosensitive. So so concept-wise, what it is both a fermentation of yeast and bacteria living in a tea. So yeast is how we make alcohol. The yeast eat the sugar that we put inside and turn it into alcohol. But we don't want to drink alcohol in this one, so there's also bacteria in the culture which eat the alcohol and turn that into acetic acid, which is vinegar. So it's a two-step process, and the symbiosis of the two organisms living together, the bacteria is what's creating this beautiful white blanket on top, which protects the yeast that live inside. So the yeast make food for the bacteria in turn protect the yeast, and we have a symbiotic cycling. And when we ourselves put energy towards brewing and creating the kombucha, we become part of the symbiosis. And for this, we are able to drink the tea, which has been fermented, which has allowed the nutrients that are trapped inside the tea to be unlocked. And so we drink the symbiosis, becoming part of the symbiosis ourselves, and estamos juntos, ¿sí? So what you need to do the fermentation, you're going to need tea. But this means tea. It doesn't mean herbal infusion. It means green or black tea. Black tea always works the strongest and the fastest, but in South America I've only really been able to find green tea. So, permiso?
Buenas. Ay, cómo cambió aquí, qué lindo.
En poco?
Keep
Okay.
going.
So, yeah, so
Welcome back to our
welcome back.
to
Welcome back. So this
Kombucha
is how
class.
we do it. So what we need is a tea, and this doesn't mean herbal infusion. This really means tea. It's from a tisane plant. So green or black tea. Black tea will work the quickest, but green tea is super bueno. And also in this one, we're using the cáscaras de la cacao, the shells of the cacao. So these two teas together go into the infusion. And then we add a ton of sugar. Panella is awesome because panella has all the minerals of the sugar. It's not refined, but if you put refined sugar in it, it'll get eaten super quickly. Or even honey. I would suggest mixing the honey with something else because the sugars of the honey are bound up inside of the enzymes and whatnots, so it's hard for them to get at it. So something sugary, something tea-like, mix it all together, and then you get a part
You gotta let it cool right down.
Yeah, so it needs to be super room temperature, because if you put it in hot, then you're going to like fry the the culture, and then you want to get a culture. And the magical thing about these cultures is they originated from Asia, and they came all over the world, because when we get a culture, we take time to brew a new culture, and then that culture creates a baby culture, and we can pass that along. And it's just a reproductive cycle of brewing this kombucha, so it's all the same. Um, this kombucha actually was gifted to a brother that took it to the coast of Colombia, where my friend then met him, who gave then that culture to me, which I brought back from the coast and put it with the original culture in here. So it's like the mother and the niño salvaje, the wild child that went to the coast and back. And all of that chemical imprint has been put inside of the culture. And by brewing it from our hearts with ourselves, our microbiome becomes incorporated in the microbiome of the culture, and it becomes better for us and our family to drink as a personal basis. Kombucha trading cards, SCOBY, symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast.
Benefits of the kombucha. Why should
Yeah.
you drink it?
Why should you drink it? Well, what I was explaining with the symbiosis. So, it will take. Okay, wait. Let me reprocess this. So why should we drink it? Let me get this in my
Start
head.
with your microbiome in your gut.
I want to start with actually why it unlocks the nutrients. So start with the microbiome. So why should we drink kombucha? The fermentation process takes the nutrients that are already in the tea and creates them so that they're more bioavailable. It unlocks them. This is like a pre-digestion that's happening for us. During this pre-digestion, the bacteria, the yeast, they're living in the culture. So this also is a huge probiotic, because when you take in the culture, you are drinking living symbiosis and incorporating this living symbiosis with the living symbiosis of your bacteria. Statistically, we are 10 times as much bacterial DNA that we are human DNA by weight. And this is because there are tons and tons and tons of bacterial cells living on our skin, in our stomachs, all over our digestive system, in our eyes, in our mouth, that chemically change and control who we are. And so by giving life to a kombucha culture, we give life to ourselves and to our microbiome, and we almost have a say and a hand in the process. And so this is why also it's important to brew your own kombucha when you talk to it, when you sing to it. Right now I am breathing my beautiful words and my beautiful bacteria from inside of my mouth into the culture. And then the culture is learning how to live with some of the negative bacteria that are from inside of me, and it's learning how to conquer and defeat them. And so when we drink it, we drink bacteria that learn to live with our negative bacteria, and then can better defeat the negative bacteria that have gone inside of us. So these are some of the reasons why we should drink kombucha. Kombucha delicious.
Okay, how do you spare your kombucha?
So, first, I'm gonna wash my hands. It's important to keep sanitation environments because of what we saw over here with the mold-infested kombucha, because it's really easy for it to
Clean.
become infected.
Personal sanitation.
Personal
For dummies.
sanitation. Wash all of your vessels, usually with vinegar. Wash your hands. Vinegar will kill anything that doesn't want to live in the vinegar, and what you're fermenting is vinegar. Here in the Rainbow Crystal Land, we take sanitation very important. When you live with over 100 hippies in the woods, sicknesses spread incredibly quickly. But if we all take bio-sustainable precautions, such as beautiful jars of vinegar, then all of us can stay healthy and happy together.
And please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all time. Exits are here and here.
There's no escaping. Once you're in, you're in. So I actually should have brought this with and sprayed it too. So I am going to give you, let's not have flies in there, what I am going to give you is like a kombucha starter pack. I would suggest not drinking this culture that I'm about to give you and using it to do a bigger ferment. So it's always amazing to have starter fluid. Okay, let's do this with something else. Hola,
¿Todo bien?
hacemos un película.
¡Mua! ¡Qué bueno! ¡Qué lindo!
Okay.
¡Hola! ¡Yeah! Mi hermosa.
Okay.
¿Todo bien?
Sí.
Hola.
Estamos haciendo el tutorial de kombucha.
Kombucha, chévere.
Sí, pero tenemos que finir, si no...
Yeah, yes,
¿Me puede mirar?
We need to cover it then. Oh, we can all be in the video.
Okay.
Huele rico. Nice smell.
Okay,
You can
wait,
all go...
let's bring the voices down
Okay.
so that we can finish doing this. Chévere. So, right, put that in there. We're just like losing kombucha on the ground. Hold on, I'm just gonna grab all the things that I need to show.
Okay.
The first improvised kombucha tutorial ever.
So,
I don't want to, I want to have the
we're
full
waiting for
week.
mango,
For me?
for the presentation, for the show.
Yeah. Well, we've
It's gonna
done
be
most of
right
it.
now
Okay.
on TV Rainbow, okay.
TV Rainbow. Okay, guys. So what I'm about to give you is the SCOBY starter pack, and for this we're gonna take some pre-fermented tea. We're gonna take some pre-fermented
Okay,
tea.
here I go. I love you. I love you as well.
We're gonna take. Should we just do this again?
No, I love
I love
the...
it so much. Okay, so
Because it's
we're going to
completely
take-
improvised, so good.
we're gonna take some fermented tea, and that's going to pre-fermented tea. This has lots of the culture living in it. Technically, if this is all that you have, you can brew the culture right from here. All you're going to do is add some extra panella and find a cloth like this to put on top.
If you're not living in South America, what should you put as sugar?
Sugar, miel, honey, anything really. Like I would use brown sugar, maple syrup. This is where the experimentation comes in, brewing it in heat, brewing it in cold. All of it affects it differently. It's always going to have a different flavor. The climate really changes things.
I've made it with coconut sugar before.
Nice, coconut sugar. So yeah, whatever sugar that you can find, the most refine the sugar, the quicker the fermentation is going to be, but the less minerals you're going to have in it. So white sugar it comes in, you can taste it in your mouth, it's amazing immediately. The yeast think the same thing, so they come in and they just eat it up. But so when we have panella, it's a little bit better than that. When we have honey, the sugar can be really trapped inside. So whatever, experiment. So from this, even if you wanted to just go to a local store and get some kombucha that you're meant to drink, you can brew as long as it's not heavily processed with other herbs, ginger, rosemary, other things. This could start to kill the culture. You can raise a new SCOBY right out of that. Just put some extra panella in it, give the yeast some food, put a top on it so that everything can breathe. Something like a thin fabric like this with a rubber band around it typically should hold it pretty well. And yalla, give it 2 weeks, give it 1 week depending on the heat, and you're good to go. And what I'm going to do for a special gift is get you some SCOBY mats, and this will really make it quicker. No, I use something that pulls out naturally. Because this is actually an organism. This is a tissue. It's multicellular with multi-organismal, single organism working together. And it's what shows us that ourselves, we are tissues made together into an organism. So when we create community, the community becomes an organism, a forest is an organism, and then down to just a single bacteria living inside of it is an organism. It's just the levels of organization. They all based upon the same patterns. So I put that beautiful baby in there. Maybe I'll give you a little bit more. And all of the brown stuff, that's the yeast. The white stuff is more, so this is pretty brown, so that's going to give you a good amount of yeast.
It's fucking
Ooh, I think
incredible.
that's actually, this Fingus is actually the one that went to the coast with me and back. That one is, water with me. I'll give you some more.
Got more immunity.
And we have that lid. And for transportation, for a traveler, what we really want is a jar with a liquid tight lid. And we want to, if we're stopping, if you know you're going to be somewhere for a week or more, start brewing kombucha. And you can show people and you can teach people and you can spread this knowledge. And when it's in your backpack, make sure that you don't lose the liquid. I got a very sick kombucha SCOBY from a jar that broke open in my bag, lost all the liquid, and then the culture was living without the liquid. And then it'll be sick like me. And something you can also do once you have brewed the kombucha, other than just put it in little jars and drink it, delicious, is you can put it into jars with herbs. You want to flavor it afterwards, so you could put it with berries, you could put it with ginger, you could put it with an herb, and if you put it in a sealed jar, then the carbon dioxide that is breathing out of the culture, which is the same way we breathe out carbon dioxide in oxygen, it gets stuck inside. And this actually carbonates it, and it makes it like a beautiful soft drink of kombucha with herbs, and this is where real experimentation happens. So, yep, here's your little baby, and take this baby with you wherever you want, and make beautiful magic and beautiful healing with it.
Thank you.